Alright, good morning. Camera is working. Let's put that away and start the stopwatch. So, today I'm standing right at the base of the Hepal flyover, and according to me, this is where Bangalore city ends and the airport road begins. Actually, right at where that signboard is, that is where the cutoff happens. This is according to me only, and people have different thoughts on this. So I'm going to start the stopwatch exactly at that board and keep it running till we reach the airport in Bangalore. So my contention is that the airport is 20 minutes away from the city, even with traffic and even if you stick to the speed limit. So let's try and see if that happens. And the only thing I'm going to do is ensure I stick to the speed limit, which is 80 by the way. I may cross it to overtake, and you will see that, but that I feel also falls within the normal conditions when you're on the road. But yes, 80 is the speed limit, which we'll keep it to. While we make this ride, however, since we're going to the airport, there's one discussion that I'm dying to have, and that's about the preliminary report that has come out around Air India Flight 171. This is and was one of the worst airline tragedies of our time, at least, mainly because not only did all the passengers, crew, and the pilots pass away, all but one, the passenger in seat 11A, but it also crashed into buildings which were part of a medical college hostel, and which led to the death of students within the buildings as well. So, a horrible tragedy. Now that the preliminary report is out, the world has gone into a tailspin because the report alludes to human intervention or pilot error being the cause of the crash. Now, this is the interpretation from the report, and it may come out later that it was something else altogether. But as of now, this is what everyone is getting from it. Though specifically the report does not say so. However, the issue here is this interpretation is being taken up by everyone across the world, and they have already passed the judgment that it was either by error or was done knowingly by one of the pilots. The judgments passed by everyone now is it had to be the captain, because the first officer was the pilot flying, and his hands would have been on the throttle and the yoke or the control column, and he would not have been able to toggle the switches off. Then comes the few lines shared in the preliminary report about how one pilot asks the other why he turned the fuel off, and the other pilot says he didn't. Everyone is sure that the pilot flying asked the captain why he turned the fuel off, and the captain said he did not. Now, as a lawyer, my only input to anyone bringing up these conclusions are, so first, stop trying to come to conclusions based on this limited information. Even if you're a pilot or have worked with airlines, you cannot say with 100% guarantee that this is what happened, because no one can. And I say this and I bring up being a lawyer because context and having all the information is required for you to make that judgment. I know of matters where lawyers would have given a specific advice on something that seems absolutely wrong right now, but he or she would have given that advice because at that specific moment, the context they had and the information they had and the situation they were in is completely different from what it is now. And it's really easy to say he or she got it wrong now with the additional time to think over the matter and all the additional information and context available to you now at a much later time. So that's first. And the second thing is let the air crash investigators do their job, and we should do ours. Again, even as pilots, don't pass judgments on something like this because A, it hasn't happened to you, because of course you're still alive and talking about it, and you don't know what happened, and B, the people doing the investigation did not ask for your opinion. And what everyone else should be doing, instead of trying to do the investigator's job for them, is to help the families and friends of the victims. Even if they need closure on what went wrong, that will be given to them by the people responsible to do so. And all we can do and try to do is to support the victims' families on that. What has to be legally done for support is a video I had made just after the crash, and I'll link it again at the end of this video so you know. But yeah, making judgments again, like the Wall Street Journal has been doing, along with all the news channels across the world, including our own country, is just sensationalizing the news for other people, when the effort should be to support the victims first. Anyway, so like I said, the video on the legalities around such air crashes are in that video of mine, and in this one I quickly I'll share the two pieces of information that are publicly available to us, which are the first one is the CCTV video that was released of the crash, which I can play here for you. And two, the preliminary report from the AAIB website. Link is in the description for you to check it out and read for yourself. It's a document that looks like this. So if you put the report and the CCTV video together, you'll be able to see in real time exactly what happened. Now I'll just copy on the screen the timestamps from the report and pause it so you get a visual picture of what happened, and I'll help you understand how quickly all of this went down. Now I synced the seconds number here, and I've placed a seconds counter right here because it quickly goes out of view for us. But the hope is that the CCTV time and the black box time was all following the same time down to the second, which actually seems to be the case, and you'll understand once you watch through this. Also, the time in the report is in UTC and the time on the video is in IST. So 8 AM UTC is 1:30 AM IST, which you can see on your screen, and the report is 8 AM. So we're following the timeline of 8 minutes past 8 in the morning in UTC according to the report, and on the CCTV it's 1:38 PM in the afternoon, so 8 minutes past 1:30 in the afternoon, and the seconds remain the same. So the report starts with the aircraft was observed departing from the bay 34 at 38 seconds past the 48th minute, 7:48 UTC. The taxi clearance was received at 7:55 and 15 seconds UTC. The aircraft taxied from the bay at 7:56 and 8 seconds UTC. The takeoff clearance was issued at 8:07:33 UTC. The aircraft started rolling at 7 minutes and 37 seconds past 8 o'clock UTC. So let's play the video now with the timestamps. The report says the aircraft crossed the takeoff decision speed V1 and achieved 153 knots IAS at 33 seconds past 8 minutes past 8 o'clock. So I'm just going to keep it at the minutes and seconds now. The VR speed 155 knots was achieved as per the EAFR at 35 seconds past 8 o'clock. The aircraft air or ground sensors transitioned to air mode consistent with liftoff at 39 seconds past 8 minutes. The aircraft achieved the maximum record speed of 180 knots IAS at 42 seconds past the 8th minute. Immediately after that, the engine 1 fuel cutoff switch transitioned from run to cutoff position at 42 seconds past 8 minutes. Engine 2 fuel cutoff switch transitioned from run to cutoff position after 1 second at 43 seconds of 8 minutes. The engine N1 and N2 began to decrease from their takeoff values as the fuel supply to the engines was cut off. This is an image of the engine highlighting which parts form the N1 and N2 segments. In the cockpit voice recording, one of the pilots is heard asking the other why did he cut off. The other pilot responded that he did not do so. While no timestamps are provided in the report for this conversation, it's placed right here in the narrative. So this is one assumption we are making, that this conversation happened at this point. The CCTV footage obtained from the airport showed a ram air turbine, which is the RAT, getting deployed during the initial climb immediately after liftoff. This is the image from the report, and it is consistent with this timeline from the CCTV recording. Both engines' N2 values passed below minimum idle speed, and the RAT hydraulic pump began to supply hydraulic power at about 47 seconds past the 8th minute. The engine 1 fuel cutoff switch transitioned from cutoff to run at about 52 seconds past the 8th minute. The APU inlet door began opening at about 54 seconds past the 8th minute, consistent with the APU auto start logic. This is what that looks like for a 787. The APU inlet door is placed right there, and that's where the APU is. Thereafter, at 56 seconds past 8 o'clock, the engine 2 fuel cutoff switch also transitioned from cutoff to run. At about 5 seconds past 9 minutes of 8 o'clock in the morning, one of the pilots transmitted, "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday." The EAFR recording stopped at 11 seconds past the 9th minute at 8 o'clock UTC. At 8:14, 44 seconds UTC, crash fire tender left the airport premises for rescue and firefighting. And now that's everything that happened. Again, like I said, I matched the report to the CCTV footage, and time that's shown just for a second in that recording, and it may be off, but seeing the time match up for the Mayday call, and then the crash and flames seems that it's pretty accurate. Again, this is only for informational purposes because I couldn't find something like this on YouTube, and I thought this could help understand the few seconds into the flight and the crash, and maybe it could also help someone understand that something went horribly wrong right at takeoff, and there is nothing that anyone could have done to save the flight after that. So, apart from saying that the pilots did this and that, and what the pilots could have done in such a situation, I feel it's pretty clear that they couldn't have saved the plane even if they tried their level best. So, with that, we reach the airport now, and like I mentioned earlier, we are going to stop the recording right at this point because there are security issues and of recording beyond this, and we don't want to put that video out. But we've officially reached the airport, and it's just about getting to 20 minutes. We're going to get to 20 minutes when we cross this spot. So yeah, I think I've proved it to myself and for future records as well that you can reach the airport from the city under 20 minutes at the speed limit that is there. Exactly in 20 minutes actually. So yeah, thank you, and I hope this helps. Good day.